Well, that's right, just walk away.
I don't want to talk to you when you're like this!
Well, go then. I'm not
help.
away from you. You see what you've done this time? This is all your fault. You're ruining this family. You're so bloody selfish.
Glasses. What boy would want to sit next to you? I can't believe you write this drivel. It's pathetic. Pathetic.
Do you think I'm here to clear up after you? You're useless. Do you know that? It's not my job. Grow up, you worthless idiot!
This video is a representation on how does an emotional and verbal abuses affects a person. For some, you may not think you are not being abused if you're not hurt physically. But whether it's emotional and verbal abuse, it has still a short-term and long-lasting effects that are just as serious as the effects of physical abuse. This kind of behavior includes insults and attempts to scare, isolate, or control you. It is also often a sign that physical abuse may follow if it's not corrected. In general, a relationship is emotionally abusive when there is a consistent pattern of abusive words and bullying behaviors that wear down a person's self-esteem and undermine their mental health. It is important to understand how does emotional and verbal abuse start. Emotional and verbal abuse may begin suddenly. Some abusers may start out behaving normally and then begin abuse after a relationship is established. Some abusers may purposefully give a lot of love and attention, including compliments and requests to see you often in the beginning of a relationship. Often, the abuser tries to make the other person feel strongly bonded to them, as though it is the two of them against the world. Over time, abusers begin to insult or threaten their victims and begin controlling different parts of their lives. When this change in behavior happens, it can leave victims feeling shocked and confused. You may feel embarrassed or foolish for getting into the relationship. If someone else abuses you, it's never your fault. The underlying goal of emotional abuse is to control the other person by discrediting, isolating, and silencing them. It is one of the hardest forms of abuse to recognize as it can be subtle and insidious. But it can also be overt and manipulative. What are the effects of emotional or verbal abuse? Staying in an emotionally or verbally abusive relationship can have long-lasting effects on your physical and mental health, including leading to chronic pain, depression, or anxiety. You may also question your memory of events, if it really happens. A change of behavior for fear of upsetting your partner. You may feel ashamed or guilty. You feel powerless and hopeless and feel manipulated, used, and controlled and feel unwanted. Your partner's behavior may leave you feeling as though you need to do anything possible to restore peace and end the abuse. This can feel stressful and overwhelming. Another sign that you may be emotionally abusive is if they invalidate you. For example, of invalidation include: Number 1, undermining, dismissing, or distorting your perceptions or your reality. Number 2, they refuse to accept your feelings, instead they try to define how you should feel. Number 3, requiring you to explain how you feel over and over. Number 4, accusing you of being too sensitive, too emotional, or crazy. Number 5, refusing to acknowledge or accept your opinions or ideas as valid. Number 6, dismissing your requests, wants, and needs as ridiculous or unmerited. Number 7, suggesting that your perceptions are wrong or that you cannot be trusted by saying things like, "You're blowing this out of proportion," or "You exaggerating." Number 8, accusing you of being selfish, needy, or materialistic if you expresses your wants or needs. Emotionally abusive people also tend to create chaos. Some examples of this red flag include: By starting arguments for the sake of arguing. Making confusing and contradictory statements and having drastic of mood or a sudden emotional outbursts. Another sign that you may be emotionally abusive is by using emotional blackmail. Examples of emotional blackmail include manipulating and controlling you by making you feel guilty, giving you a guilt trip, humiliating you in public or in private. Using your fears, values, compassion, or other hot buttons to control you or the situation. Exaggerating your flaws or pointing them out in order to deflect attention or to avoid taking responsibility for their own poor choices or mistakes. Another to watch for is they act superior. People who are emotionally abusive often act superior and entitled. Things to look for when considering whether the person in your life exhibits this sign of emotional abuse include treating you like you are inferior and blaming you for their mistakes and shortcomings. Emotionally abusive people will attempt to isolate and control you. Some examples of this form of emotional abuse includes controlling who you see or spend time with, including friends and family. Monitoring you digitally, including text messages, social media, and email. Accusing you of cheating and being jealous of outside relationships. When emotional abuse is severe and ongoing, you can lose your entire sense of self. Over time, the accusations, verbal abuse, name-calling, criticisms, and gaslighting can erode your sense of self so much that you can no longer see yourself realistically. By being honest about what you are experiencing, you can begin to take control of your life again. Please watch my other video on some strategies reclaiming your life so that you can put into practice today. That is all for today, folks. I hope you find this helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.